Okay, I'm going to go over this slideshow with you about subjects and predicates and sentences. It is also embedded in your Canvas assignment that's linked in today's announcement. So if you need to go back and look at any of this, you will be able to do that while you're working on the subject and predicate worksheet. Okay, let's start. So remember that we talked about the technology of literacy and the fact that writing was invented and it spread around the world, or different places around the world used it, and then it disappeared for like 900 years and then it came back. That was like in the Middle Ages. In the Middle Ages, people didn't think of a sentence the way that we do today, that we're going to talk about today. So the word sentence meant sense or meaning. It wasn't necessarily a group of words with a subject and a predicate. If you could get your meaning across another way, in the Middle Ages, they considered that a sentence. Punctuation marks existed, but they were used, they looked a little bit different, but they kind of did the same job. They helped readers know how to read out loud, like where to pause, which is what commas do, or where to change tone, which is kind of what periods, exclamation points, and question marks do. They tell us what our voice is supposed to do. But punctuation was very much about reading out loud instead of like reading inside of your own head in the Middle Ages. And they didn't put spaces between words. You know, those clay tablets were heavy. They wanted to squish everything in them that they could, or that vellum or the paper was expensive. So they just, all the words would squish together and you kind of needed to figure it out. Things have gotten better. So just like humans invented paper and printing presses and emojis, we invented grammar rules. These rules help us understand each other more clearly. They're agreements. They're not laws. They've changed over time. But when we agree about how to spell words and how to write sentences and how to use punctuation, it's so much easier to share your ideas and make sure that other people understand exactly what you are trying to get across. And that matters because that means that if you are using your literacy for a purpose in the world, other people will be able to understand your ideas. That's power. We saw from Frederick Douglass and Jenny Proctor and Malala that being able to communicate clearly can be about liberation. Like, I know myself, I can speak to other people, we can make a difference together. Remember, a lot of people have fought for the right to read and write. So we're going to learn how to use that power well. So we are going to watch 2 videos that are going to help us explore this idea of subject and predicate. I'm guessing that most of you are going to remember some of this from elementary school, but we are going to review it to make sure that we understand how to write a complete sentence.
Hello, grammarians. Hello, Paige.
Hi, David.
So today we're going to talk about identifying subjects and predicates, and in order to do that, we shall begin with a sentence. Paige, would you read me the sentence, please?
I bought a crate of goblin hats.
Thank you, Paige. So, Paige, do you think that's like hats for goblins or hats that make you look like a goblin?
Well, I bought it, so I can say that it is both.
So we could go either way, is what you're saying.
Oh, yeah.
So a sentence is kind of like a car. It's got a lot of different parts, right? Like an engine or wheels or a body, whatever. A sentence is very much the same way, and you can divide up a sentence into parts. And so today we're going to be dividing up the sentence into subject and predicate. Paige, what is the subject of a sentence?
So the subject is a noun or a pronoun that is doing the action in the sentence or performing the verb.
What does that mean to perform a verb?
Right. So a verb isn't always an action, right? That's why I wanted to clarify. Because you can say, like, I am happy. And am is a verb, but that's not like an action that I'm doing.
Right. You can't just actively am.
Right.
But in this sentence, I am happy, the subject, I, is performing the verb to be or am.
Right.
Gotcha. What is a predicate?
So a predicate is kind of all of the rest of the sentence that isn't the subject. So what it really is like the verb and all of the parts that are related to the verb. Yeah, verb and its pals. That's good.
So let's apply that approach to Goblin Hat sentence.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking for a noun or pronoun that performs a verb in the sentence. Well, I found the verb, and the verb is bought. Who's doing the buying? I am. So our
Right.
subject is I.
Yeah.
And then predicate is basically everything else, right? So it's bought. What did I buy? A crate of goblin hats.
Right. So you can see that a crate of goblin hats is also a noun, right? But it's not doing anything in the sentence. I am buying.
So just because there's a noun, just because there's another noun in the sentence, like crate or goblin hats, doesn't necessarily mean that it's the subject.
Right.
So you have to look for the thing that is performing the verb.
Exactly.
So Paige, I think that covers everything except exactly what a goblin hat is. But we can talk about that some other time.
Yeah.
So that's identifying subjects and predicates. You can learn anything. David out.
Paige out.
All right, sweet. So we know that the subject is a noun or a pronoun that's performing the verb, and the predicate is pretty much everything else. Let's watch one more. And this one is going to reinforce that same idea. And it's a Schoolhouse Rock. So it's an awesome song.
This is the tale of Mr. Morton. Mr. Morton is who? He is the subject of our tale, and the predicate tells what Mr. Morton must do. Mr. Morton walked down the street. Mr. Morton walked. Mr. Morton talked to his cat. Mr. Morton talked. Hello, cat. You look good. Mr. Morton was lonely. Mr. Morton was. Mr. Morton is the subject of the sentence, and what the predicate says he does. Mr. Morton knew just one girl. Mr. Morton knew. Mr. Morton grew flowers for Pearl. Mr. Morton grew. Mr. Morton was very shy. Mr. Morton was. Mr. Morton is the subject of the sentence, and what the predicate says he does. The subject is a noun. That's a person, place, or thing. It's who or what the sentence is about. And the predicate is the verb. That's the action word that gets this subject up and out. Mr. Morton wrote Pearl a poem. Mr. Morton wrote. Pearl replied in the afternoon. Pearl replied by a note. Mr. Morton was very nervous. Mr. Morton was. Mr. Morton is the subject of the sentence, and what the predicate says he does. The cat stretched, the sun beat down, a neighbor chased his kid. Come here, kid, come on. Each sentence is completed when you know what the subject did. Mr. Morton knocked on her door. Mr. Morton knocked. Mr. Morton sat on her porch. Yes, he just sat there and rocked. Mr. Morton was a nervous man. When she opened up the door, he ran. Mr. Morton climbed up his stairs. Mr. Morton climbed. Mr. Morton rhymed pretty words. Mr. Morton rhymed. Mr. Morton was lonely. Mr. Morton was until Pearl showed up with a single rose. Who says women can't propose? Now Mr. Morton is happy, and Pearl and the cat are too. They're the subject of the sentence, and what the predicate says they do.
So Mr. Morton does. Subject, verb. All right. Subject and predicate. The subject is the topic of the sentence. The predicate is the action word in the sentence, but remember from our first video that the action isn't necessarily a thing you are actively doing. Like, I was happy. You're not wasing, but it is the thing you are doing. Conjunction is that part of speech that links words together, words and phrases, and, but, or, nor. So, the dog chased a ball. The dog is our subject. Chased the ball is the predicate because the dog is doing the chasing. Subject is what or who the sentence is about. The predicate is the action in which the subject completes. So if we remember subject-predicate conjunction, the dog chased the ball and the cat slept. This is a compound sentence. We have two subjects doing two different things, and they're connected by a conjunction. So if you have a dog chasing a ball, if it said the dog chased the ball and slept, that's still only one subject and a predicate with a conjunction. But because the dog chased the ball and the cat slept, you have two subjects, two predicates. The dog and cat, that's a compound sentence. It's got two subjects and a predicate. My brother, one subject, but can you guess what's coming? A compound predicate. Ate the candy and drank the juice. Did two different verbs. Ate and drank, candy and juice. So when you see a conjunction and or but, then you have to watch for, is there a second subject or a second verb to decide if it's simple subject, simple predicate, or compound. All right. So before I reveal, see if you can identify the subject and the predicate. 5 small cats slept on the windowsill. Subject, predicate. If you guessed that that was a compound subject because there's more than one cat, the difference is there is not a conjunction, not an and. So our subject is still just 5 small cats. He won. He won. That one, I hope, was pretty easy. Amanda loves to swim. Amanda loves to swim. Subject, predicate. These are all what are called independent clauses because they are complete thoughts and they have a subject and a predicate. They make sense. If we go back to that medieval idea, they have meaning on their own. All right, try to identify the subject and the predicate. May and Anna went to the store to buy flowers. Compound subject, 2 people connected by the word and then they went to the store to buy flowers. That's what they did. He won, but he forgot to claim the prize. He won. If that was a complete sentence with an exclamation point at the end of it, like we saw on the last slide, that would be an independent clause. We have a comma, so we know it's not over, and a conjunction, but we have a subject, again, he, and then the predicate, forgot to claim the prize. So you can't just look for subject, verb, and then say everything else is the predicate. You have to look for that and the but, and you have to look for more than one subject, and you have to look for more than one action to decide. Amanda and Luke play soccer, and golf. They're so sporty. So we know Amanda and Luke is a compound subject. Again, two names connected by an and. Can you guess what kind of predicate it is? Play soccer and golf. If you said compound predicate because of that and, you were correct. So independent clause is a group of words with one subject and one predicate that forms a complete thought. She rode her bike to town. The teacher graded the tests. 3 ducks swam in a pond and splashed. Enrique and Emily studied in the library. Notice that it doesn't mean that they can't have an and. It doesn't mean that they can't be compound subjects and compound predicates. It's just that they only have one subject and one predicate. So we looked at those. Subject, predicate, subject, predicate, subject, predicate, subject, predicate. And you notice there's both simple and compound subjects and both simple and compound predicates, but they're still independent clauses. So now you're going to, in the assignment, there are a couple of things you're going to do. One is you can, if you're looking at this slideshow that is embedded in our Canvas page, you can just click on it and it will take you to our Padlet. If you're looking at this up on the board, you can use your iPad to scan this slide and go to a Padlet. It's going to be orange and red flowered, sort of. And what I want you to do is look at this photo. You're going to add an independent clause, a complete sentence about this photo. When you go, you're going to click this little red plus sign down in the lower corner of the Padlet, and then down in the lower left corner, there's something that says white, and there's a little drop down by it. Click on it, and you're going to click yellow. That's all of my classes are going to be yellow. Miss Braun's are a different color, and Miss Farrell's are a different color. We're all going to be adding to this Padlet. So let's make ours yellow so we know that they're from our class. Just any silly thing you want to write about a dog with the donuts on its head. All right, then our next steps. When you go to Canvas, remember we always start at the announcement. It'll say do, and then next to it will be the subject and predicate practice in blue, and you can click on a link and it'll take you to the assignment where it says to download the worksheet, send it to Notability. There are 2 pages, complete both of them. If you want to go back and remind yourself, like, well, what is a simple sentence? Or what does an independent clause look like? What is a simple subject? What is a compound subject? Go ahead and look back through the slides to remind you. And then you can go on to part 2. That's underneath the slide in the assignment. There's another worksheet where you get to use your independent reading book and your creativity to play a little bit with sentences and punctuation. However far you get with this, by the end of the block, I want you to submit. If you only work on the subject and predicate practice, just submit that. If you do anything on the second worksheet, also submit that one. So 1 or 2 worksheets, depending on how far you get. And let's practice mastering our understanding of complete sentences and subjects and predicates. All right, thanks. See you soon.